To start the hour, we have a verdict. News. It's news for you, the viewer, because you know why? It came in last night. I know you were supposed to be watching us, but it was late. It was out of Nevada. So Thomas Randolph, who we've been watching all the past several weeks, was found guilty on all 3 of his charges against him, which include 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. This all came under 5 hours of jury deliberation. It took them just under 5 hours, think about that, to find Thomas Randolph guilty on all counts related to the death of his 6th wife, Sharon Calls, and Michael Miller. The state believes that Randolph staged a break-in with the victim, Michael Miller, before shooting both Miller and his wife, Sharon Calls, to death. This was Randolph's 2nd trial for the events that took place back in 2008. He had been on death row prior to his conviction being overturned. But with that off the table, he's up against life in prison right now. His sentencing date is scheduled for October 12th. But before I get ahead of myself, why don't we watch the verdict as it was handed down in that Las Vegas courtroom now.
We, the jury in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Thomas William Randolph, as follows. Count 1, conspiracy to commit murder. Guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Count 2, murder with use of a deadly weapon, Sharon Randolph. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Count 3, murder with use of a deadly weapon, Michael Miller. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Dated this 24th day of August 2024.
And what the jury heard last were the words of the prosecution. Why don't we listen to some of those words that caused this guilty verdict?
Now, Mr. Randolph suggests that, he's not in on this murder at all with Sharon. In fact, he's something of a hero who went through extensive effort to save Sharon Randolph.
I went back down in here to my wife. Got back to where I was at. I told him everything was cool. Got back down here and shook Sharon again, talked for a minute. And I said, she's still not moving, but she's bleeding really, really bad. And he says, that's why you've got it. She's going to die if you don't do this. Now, something about going to be unpleasant. He says, now put down the phone and roll her over and then talk to me. So I remember from CPR and stuff that you got to do the counterweights or whatever. I'm doing the correct chest compressions, and then I kind of thought, maybe I'm not doing these right. I'm kind of doing them like a wild man. So then I started 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000.
So he's doing those chest compressions on Sharon Randolph like a wild man. He's really trying to save her life. And this is what she looks like at the scene. She had an injury that caused a lot of bleeding. And this is what he looks like after administering all that aid. Now, you heard from 2 detectives that true, there was a small amount of blood on his person. But you can check the Santa Fe video. These are the clothes he's wearing that night. So that means like he was wearing those clothes through this whole process. And they don't have a lot of blood on him for someone doing CPR like a wild man. One more thing with regard to his efforts as to CPR.
And I know when I started to get up, I pushed like that. Because I remember it left a blood thing somewhere right here, trying to balance myself to get up. And I got up, got around Sharon. Excuse me.
So he left a blood thing right there on sort of the frame of the doorway to the bathroom, and it looks like it's like right by the area where the light switch is. Wow, that's the picture from the 8th. It's not there. There's another angle you can see by the light switch. That blood impression that he described from those efforts at saving Sharon Randolph are not present. Then you have the 911 calls, where Thomas Randolph does everything he can to not administer aid to Sharon Randolph. The fire department paramedic instructs him, put her flat on her back, and he says, put her flat on. Should I try to find his gun or something so he don't shoot me if he's not dead? The fire department instructs, hey, let's focus on your wife, put her flat on your back. I'm going to go to the garage so he can't get in. This is a guy he's just shot in the head twice. Sir, you got to do this quickly. Yes, okay. Put her flat on her back. Oh gosh, there's blood everywhere. You got to listen to me so we can try to help her. Okay, put her flat on her back. Okay, hang on a minute. Sir, please come back to the phone. Listen to that 911. Over and over again, he's putting any other task in front of administering aid to Sharon Randolph.
Okay, and the jury did not hear that 4 of his 6 wives are dead. But with that, let's discuss this case. And I'm joined now, Joe Richardson and I are joined actually by Katherine Lizardo, great trial attorney. She just finished a great TED Talk. If you Google her, you'll find it. But Katherine, welcome. Now, he was convicted. We know that. The jury needed evidence to prove that he shot his wife. What evidence was there?
Well, what the jury heard was that the three interviews that he had with the police, and here the state closing arguments were really good in using the defendant's own words against him. She played his words so that the jury can hear it themselves, and then goes to the circumstantial evidence of he said he was a wild man while performing CPR on her, wears that much blood on his white shirt. So the inconsistencies of his testimonies really hurt him. Interview, not testimony, because he did not testify. But it doesn't matter that he did not testify. He technically testified 3 times because he gave 3 interviews to the police.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. He gave so many interviews to the police. I guess Joe Richardson, he thought he was wooing the police like he wooed the 6 wives, 4 of them, as I said, who died, okay? But there was some pretty interesting evidence with regard to him having a girlfriend. Tell our viewers what that was and why that may have been important in the prosecution motive to show why he wasn't trying to save his wife who's on the floor bleeding to death.
Yeah, apparently he's talking to this girlfriend a few months before. And first of all, he has a girlfriend despite having a 6th wife. And then he says, hey, whatever problem there is, we're going to be together. No problem at all. Everything's going to be great. Quoting a Sting song, we will be together. And if there's anything in the way of us not being together, anything in the way of us being together, we'll make sure it gets eliminated. And fast forward 3 months later, his wife is laying shot, and he is tarrying as it pertains to compliance in terms of things 911 is saying to try to save her. So it kind of, it's one of those things that makes you go between that and the things that he actually said. So he's speaking. He doesn't get to get on the stand, but he's speaking through those interviews. He's speaking through the conduct when he's on the 911 and he's not being compliant, and he's acting like he's got to keep the other guy from doing something, the other guy that he killed.